Okay. Okay, let's try this again.
Okay, take two. All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Stacy Chan. I am the Community Manager for Google News and Google Play Newsstand. And I'm really excited to be representing two of Google's products today, actually. Google News being one of Google's oldest products, and Google Play Newsstand is actually a new news app that we launched at the tail end of last year. So by the end of today's workshop presentation, you guys are going to know both products inside and out and feel really confident in using both of them as a research and reporting tool, but also to distribute all the great stories and content that you're already writing. And I just want to take the time to also thank you for being here. This is actually the first time our team has gone out to a newsroom and done this in-person and over VC type workshop. So thank you for our growing pains. This is new for me as well, doing a Hangout on Air and a Hangout simultaneously. And let's see. So I know we've got folks, we're here in Walnut Creek, but we've also got folks joining us from Oakland, San Jose, Chico, Monterey. So this is very exciting for our team as well. And we wanted to come out here because we realized the importance of being a conduit for how you guys are connecting to your readers. I think it's very self-evident to say most of your readers are finding stories and discovering stories through Google News and a lot of other Google properties. So we want to make sure that every time you know that you're reaching as vast an audience as possible. So that's the goal of today's workshop, presentation, summit, and I want you guys to get as much out of this as possible. So please stop me at any point and ask questions. And for those of you over VC, I believe there's a chat window in the Hangout on Air, so please type your question in there, and then Steve can just pause me and we can ask the question out loud in the room. And so for today, how I think we're going to best accomplish my goal of getting you guys as familiar and knowledgeable about our two products is dividing this into 3 sessions. The first session is going to be more of the presentation about what exactly these two products are. I know a lot of you are familiar with Google News and Google Play Newsstand, and for those who aren't as familiar, I think this will be a really good introductory presentation. And the second session will, thank goodness, not have me talking as much and having you guys actually creating channels to better distribute your content. So that's like the workshop portion. In the final session, I'm really happy to say that I also have my colleagues joining us. We have James Moorhead, who's our product manager for Google News. He's in the background. You guys over VC can't see him, but he's taking copious notes and listening to all the great feedback you guys have. We really always want to hear from our publishers. You guys are our partners. We want to hear how to always innovate the product to better suit your needs and to create a product where you feel like you're actually reaching the readers that you want to connect with. So those are our 3 sessions. To pause for a sec, does anyone have any immediate questions on today's agenda? Anything that comes to mind? Anyone over VC? Okay, we'll proceed with session number 1. So again, this is the what is Google News and Google Play Newsstand. So we'll talk about Google News in context for journalists, how it actually is a research tool for you guys to use in your reporting. For the editors, it's another way to widely distribute your content. And then Google Play Newsstand is a new news app that we launched last year, so we're going to do a nice big introduction. So you kind of get a 2-for-1 in today's presentation. And again, please ask questions at any point in time. All right, so to kick off, Google News, like I said, is actually one of Google's oldest products. One of our esteemed engineers, in true Google fashion, wanted to create a place where he could read all news perspectives about one specific event. So he created Google News back in 2001 after 9/11. When hundreds of articles were being written about this one event, and he wanted to be able to cluster these news articles based on topic. So you can see here, we had far fewer news publishers in our corpus. And fast forward 13 years later, Google News today is again, 13 years later, we have over 65,000 publishers in our database. And Google News is a whitelist product. It's not like search, where if you type in a query for Obama, you'll search everything on the web. If you search within Google News, you're only going to get news results from our 65,000 publishers. And you actually have to apply to be in Google News. We require that you're a news publisher, that you have credibility, that you write original news articles. So we do have very strict criteria to qualify to be one of those publishers in our database. And as our product has grown, we decided to segment out the content in editions. So an edition is a combination of a language and a country. For example, Canada actually has 2 editions, one in English and one in French. As our global audience has increased drastically, we want to keep adding the number of editions we have to our product. We'd love to have it ideally in every single language in the world. But right now we have it in 30 languages, and we're always looking to expand. But again, that relies on having publishers in our database who are producing content in those languages. And so the ultimate objective for Google News, in addition to serving good news content for our publishers, it's to be a go-away site. We want, when users actually go to the news.google.com homepage, we don't want them spending minutes or even that many seconds on the homepage. We want them clicking on the San Jose Mercury News article. We want them clicking on the Oakland Tribune article. It is not a destination homepage unlike other news sites per se. And to the homepage, actually, we get 1 billion unique weekly users. And so we have a lot of people visiting the homepage. But again, the number that I am most proud of for working on the Google News team is, again, we're trying to be a go-away site. So it's the 10 billion clicks that we're sending to all the news sites that I think is the metric that we try to define our success on. Okay, so I hope that most of you guys over VC also have your laptops. I see most of us in the room have a device to use. This portion is for journalists and how to actually use news.google.com as a research tool. So this is where I exit out of my slides and I go to the home page. Okay, so news.google.com is Google News' homepage. And so can you all see? Yeah, you can all see that. Great. And so the homepage is updating every few seconds, I would say. So that's the top story. Mark Udall says the CIA is still lying. So the way we structure our homepage is it's a good snapshot of what is going on at any point in time in the news. So Harvard professor starts feud with Chinese restaurant over $4 overcharge. I did read that story yesterday. We have 6 spots on the homepage reserved for top stories. And as you scroll farther down, you'll also see this was a new feature that we recently launched, suggested for you. This is sort of a recommendation engine based on the things that I'm searching, based on my interests. Google News will recommend a lot of stories. As you can see, this is my personal account. I'm a huge sports junkie. That's why you're seeing all these 49ers and Lakers stories in my suggested for you box. We've also got different sections like world, US. You start getting into beats. I know a lot of you are beat reporters, so if you're the tech reporter or you're the entertainment reporter, these sections are really, really relevant to you to see what's going on in your beat. But this is the homepage without any sort of customization. Where I think this tool is most useful to all of you is when you actually personalize it. So you can see once you click on the personalize button in the top right corner, you do have to be logged in. And then once you do that, you can personalize your Google News homepage. Say you're the science reporter. You want to drag this to show science stories always or often. Or if you're not really into science, you slide your bar over to rarely. If you're the sports reporter, you want to start adding keywords like the Giants or the Raiders. You can add the Raiders as your topic, slide that over to always. This is the possibilities are endless. You can have 100 keywords in this section. If you don't want to see certain things, if you want to restrict, you don't want to read about the 49ers, but you want to read about the Raiders, you could slide the 49ers over to make sure you don't get news articles about the 49ers. It really is endless. So this is your unique homepage. It is also a research tool and reporting tool for you guys. So I expect everyone's homepage to look very different from mine. Then moving on from the beats that you cover, you can also add sources that you find to be really reliable, or even who are your competitors. So you might want to add the Chronicle, because they tend to break stories that are in very similar beats as you. You can add your other fellow partner organizations. You can add the San Jose Mercury News. You could add the Oakland Tribune. However, I think you guys get the point. Just keep adding as much as possible. I'll pause there. Does anyone have any questions on how to customize your Google News homepage? Does anyone have any questions over the chat window?
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you unpersonalize as well? Say you've got
Very good question. If you want to reset,
yeah.
So there's the nifty little reset button. Yeah, I'm fine with resetting everything. So I'll scroll down. So if you scroll to the adjust sources, my cursor is a little laggy, but the reset button is right there. And so I just reset it, and there's a lot of different default settings. Oh, okay, so there's actually a suggestion box that pops up. If you haven't personalized it, you probably should see that yellow box pop up. Make Google News yours.
So how do we add a source on there? Like mine says New York Times, Fox News, CNN, ESPN.
So in that text box right above New York Times, you can start typing in whatever source you would like.
Okay.
And then you click on it, and then just click the plus button, and then it should add.
Do you have to save, or is it automatically saved?
And then you do have to click the save button. Thank you for that. Then you would click the save button, and this will all start working in the back end. You should start seeing a lot more San Jose Mercury News articles once you save and then you refresh the page.
Stacy, what about iOS? Person here can't find a personalized button on the iPad.
It's still, if you're using a browser on your iPad or the iOS device, actually you've gotten ahead of me, we do have apps, but on your tablets, you should still be able to open a browser, go to news.google.com, you have to log in. So you have to log in with your account, otherwise the personalized button won't be there. That's a good question. If anyone's joining on tablets, you still just go to a browser window just like you would on your desktop, but you have to log in to personalize. Okay.
Wait.
Go ahead.
I mean, so how do you establish your login and the password? Is that something that we're using for other things, or is this a new thing that you?
Do you have a Gmail account?
Yeah.
Okay, you just use that.
So we use the same.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, I didn't clarify. That's a very good question. You have to use your Gmail account to log in, and then from there you can personalize your Google News homepage. Great question. Any other questions before I go into a few other features on the homepage? Okay, excellent. And in the left-hand rail, I think it's always very useful for journalists to see what the top stories are. So you can see torture is a big keyword that a lot of people are searching for. I actually used to be a former journalist, and this is something I always check to see if I could write a story that was already trending based on Google searches. So that's a very relevant feature to me, to see what else everyone on the internet wants to read about. Okay, and then one last section that I want to highlight on the homepage is the local section. So Google News is really good at picking up your location, and since we're here now in Walnut Creek, we can see local news from different publications. So that's a nifty feature as well, to see what's going on near you. Sorry, so we're
right below the sports scores.
below the sports score. So you'll see Walnut Creek, California. And we always want to build up our corpus of good local news publishers. So eventually you'll start seeing a lot more diverse sources as well.
We're pretty much it.
There will be more. There will be
Most
more.
everything else comes under settings.
Let's see. I'm clicking on Walnut Creek.
Most of our stuff for the Contra and Oakland are going to come through as San
Right.
Jose.
And I think it's also a little skewed because as you guys saw real time, I added the San Jose Mercury News as my preferred source. So that's why I'm seeing a lot of San Jose Mercury News. If I had added different sources, if I had added the Oakland Tribune, I would likely see the Oakland Tribune here in this box. So again, the customization tool is very, very powerful for you guys.
I'm sorry, I hate to do
It's over here.
that. I know.
We're not seeing it. Yeah, you can't seem to get the local news to show.
Are you guys logged in to your account? You do have to be logged in. Okay. Well, just in the interest of time, I'll take a look at your personal account and we can see why the local section isn't showing up for you. Okay, so going back. Okay. Ooh, it is already 11:25. Okay, so I'll quickly do a deep dive into how Google News works. So that was the homepage, but how does all of this stuff work in the back end? A lot of people always ask me, so is someone in the background curating the stories that we see? No, with 65,000 publishers around the world producing stories every minute, there's no way that a human being could actually curate these. So all our results are done algorithmically and they're automated based on a lot of signals and attributes from your guys' sites. I'll go over what those signals are, but first I want to talk about how that homepage was built. So based on all the stories that you guys are publishing every minute, we'll cluster the story. For example, everyone's talking about this Stormageddon that's going on tomorrow. That a lot of publishers are writing about this event, so it's actually going to be a story cluster. So we determine how important that story is by the aggregate editorial interest. So we see that of the 65,000 publishers, a lot of people are writing articles about it. So it's a very important news event. And so we determine what a small story is versus a big story. That should probably be the Grammys. Let's call that the Grammys. Let's call Grammys. A small story, for example, is Bob Simmons was reelected Walnut Creek mayor. Of our 65,000 publishers, we only picked up that, maybe 1, 2, or a few were writing articles about them. We saw an online blogger write about it. We saw maybe a photo slideshow. That's considered a small story. But a big story that we're going to see lots of our publishers writing about are the Grammys. Everyone from local publishers, you guys I'm sure are writing stories, to the larger ones, the USA Today, the New York Times are writing about the Grammys. There's previews, there's live updates, there's multimedia stories. That signals to Google News that this is a big event. It probably deserves one of those slots in the top stories on our homepage. That's how ranking of stories works. Do you guys have any questions about that ranking? Okay, great. And so within a story cluster, so you can see we always have 6 spots within a story cluster for which sources get to be within that cluster. So we base it on 4 large buckets, I'll say. We determine if the story is fresh, so recency is a big factor. Novelty versus duplication. Google News, the algorithm favors original stories, not ones that are just ripped off or aggregated. The third criteria is local or personal relevance. So you saw when I customized my homepage and I added San Jose Mercury News, we saw a ton more stories from San Jose Mercury News, and because it's local to my location. And the fourth criteria is credibility. So you'll most likely see stories from credible sources. Like in this cluster, you can see from the BBC, from the Washington Post. There's the big factors that determine ranking within a cluster. And that is how, oops, that's not the homepage. That's how everything gets, so for example, this story cluster is about, the big thing discussing the U.S. government's, how they handled torture. So many publishers were reporting on this that this made Google News' top story. And then based on those 4 criteria, Google News determined which 6 publications got those 6 spots. That's how Google News works.
Can you explain a little bit about how credibility is established?
That's a very good question. A lot of credibility is determined on the ecosystem. So, for example, it looks like a lot of people are linking to the Huffington Post stories. So that's how we determine credibility. People are citing your story. You are a robust news organization in that you're covering a lot of different topics. You're publishing about a lot of topics. You're publishing articles that are also being linked to. You have a big ecosystem. There's a lot of signals. We actually have over 200 in how we determine all of these four criteria: credibility, relevance. But if I had to just summarize it, I could go on for hours about this, but I have to summarize it. That's how we determine credibility. Okay. So in the interest of time, I'll try to speed up because I have a few more tools for journalists that I think are highly relevant. Google Alerts is not part of Google News, but I think for journalists it's always a very interesting tool to use. It's great if you're covering a certain beat. So you should sign up for Google Alerts for certain keywords. So if I'm the sports reporter, I want to get a Google alert every time our crawler will pick up an article about the 49ers or Oakland City Council if you cover politics. If you want to know news about your publication, or lastly, I know a lot of reporters are starting to enhance their personal brand. You can even set up your name as a Google alert if you want to see every time your name comes up. And I know someone had asked a question about iOS. So we do have a new news and weather app that we launched. When did we launch it? Last month? A couple months ago. So we launched the Google News and Weather app, both for Android and iOS. So we are device agnostic. Whatever device you have, we want all of you to be able to access we want to access Google News. And so it's really helpful for, I know you guys are all the time out in the field, and if you still want to know what's going on in the news, you can just use the Google News and Weather app. And so to do this, you would just go for Android to the Play Store, search for News and Weather, download the app. If you have an iPhone, you go to the iTunes Store and search for the Google News app. Right. Okay, so now we're branching out into Google News tools for publishers. And I know that journalistic roles are not as clear defined as reporters and publishers, so I think a lot of this information will be relevant to you if you're also a reporter. One thing we always encourage every newsroom to do is create a Google Plus account. As you can see, we've started to really highlight the information that's being put out there on social. It's no news to anybody to say that a lot of people are getting their news through social media now these days. So as a product, we recognize that and wanted to add a section within our story cluster that pulls posts from Google Plus. So it's to many newsrooms' advantage to set up a Google Plus page, and then you have another opportunity to get your posts shown within a story cluster. And this is really prime real estate on the homepage, so I highly encourage all of your publications, if you don't have a Google Plus page for, say, the Pacifica Tribune, to set one up.
Stacy, all the papers, all our masks do have a Google Plus account, but what about a reporter for that publication? Would that get swept up, say, with the San Jose Mercury
Very good
News?
question. So it is very possible to have reporters' posts actually get surfaced on the homepage. So that's also a big plus for reporters to set up their own and to constantly be posting about stories that they're covering or stories that they just have commentary on. We should go back to the homepage. Let's see what the post is. So this actually happens to be from a news organization, but I've often seen Google Plus posts from individual reporters who have really insightful commentary to say about a news event.
By the way, no, I'm just looking for the link to join in. Is there a link to the hangout?
Yes. Sorry, over VC, we're just going to have another one of our product managers join us, so I'm sending him that link right now. Here goes my face. I think I have to do it through my Gmail. I don't want to pop up my Gmail on the screen. Could you send it to James? Okay.
Yeah, my email is MOREHEAD. Google.
Got it.
Okay, great.
HEAD?
HEAD. Yeah, just like it's Warhead.
Okay.
Thank you.
I almost repeated your email over the Hangout air. I realized I probably shouldn't do that. Okay, so moving on from, actually, does anyone have any questions about Google+? That was a really good one, right? Okay, so moving on to YouTube. Yes, it is another one of Google's properties, but we realize that a lot of publishers are starting to shoot more video, shoot more multimedia. We want to really support and encourage that, and so we created a media strip at the bottom of every story cluster that you can see live on our homepage. So under that Google Plus post, you'll see YouTube videos about this topic from ABC News, from CNN, and we highly encourage everyone to create a YouTube channel. That's the easiest way for us to successfully crawl that. We will crawl embedded videos, but the YouTube channel is the best way because we reserve those initial slots for YouTube videos, as you saw live on the homepage right now. And to do this, you would contact us to submit your YouTube channel. Okay, so that's Google News for the brief introduction to Google News. Does anyone have any questions there before we dive into Google Play Newsstand? Great. Okay, so my colleague Sam is actually joined in on the Hangout. He's based in Mountain View. Sam, can you hear us?
There he is.
Hey everyone, can you hear me?
Excellent. Oh, wait, no signal. What happened? We can hear you, Sam.
You can, okay, great.
So 1 sec, though. We're trying to figure out the...
And there we go. There we go, Sam.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, all right, are we ready to go?
Oh, you flashed the thumbs up. That's so cool. Yeah, Sam, I'm going to play the video, so let me launch that. Okay. Since the marketing team created this beautiful video to introduce Google Play Newsstand, might as well let them tell the story. I think there's a huge echo loop.
Can we shut the Logitech? Can we mute the Logitech and then?
1 sec, everybody. Yeah, so I see that Stacy is now. To play off my screen,
Yeah,
right?
so mute.
Go ahead. Mute that?
You want? Yes. No. There you go. You had it.
Hey, Stacy, I had a quick question. This is Martin. Can you guys hear me? Uh-oh.
Hey, Martin.
Yeah.
She can't be muted. We can't hear it.
I thought it was muted.
Yeah, Stacy's mic is muted on our side. We can't hear the video.
I think. Not yet. Stacy?
Good balls.
Hey Stacy, I think you're muted, so we can't hear what you're saying.
Unmute Stacy. And,
Okay.
you need your laptop?
I need to mute mine. Okay. You guys missed a riveting explanation from me about why this is not working.
Can you just send Steve and I the URL and we can get that?
That's a really good. This is also available on YouTube, so you guys can also take a look at it after. And Sam has a great presentation that'll explain what Newsstand is as well. This is just a visual teaser that you guys could all see. Okay. Oops. Okay, so
Stacy, can you hear me?
yeah.
Oh, okay. I just had a quick question before we move on. One of the questions over here in Oakland was, will Google News, will it call up tout videos? DFM, Digital First Media, does pretty much all we use are tout on our phones that we upload. They're these little 45 to 1 minute videos. And I was curious, would those come up in a Google News search, or did those not get picked up?
That is a good question. I think you're asking, is it going to come up in search or is it going to show up in that media strip?
One or the other.
Sorry, say that again?
Yes. Would it come up in a search, or would it come up specifically in the strip?
So we'll always crawl and index your articles that have embedded videos, but like I said, some of those spots are reserved for YouTube videos.
No love for talent.
Barton,
Google. It's one that it's not. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me. It's not necessarily possible for us to embed videos hosted on other platforms. There may be constraints that prevent us from doing so, which is more of the issue. Right now, the media strip isn't to YouTube, but that isn't necessarily going to always be the case. But there are a lot of constraints with the extent to other platforms.
Okay.
Good question, though, on video. And we're always looking at different formats to support, so I see James taking notes right now. So thanks for that question.
You know what tout is?
No.
Okay, so Martin, touts are automatically fed into the Mercury News YouTube channel. So unless that has broken, they should be in there.
Okay. Thank you, Randy.
Okay, so just to summarize that exchange, it sounds like your videos are fed into the YouTube channel anyway, so they actually are YouTube videos, which we do support. So it sounds like we've got a good resolution there. Okay, so now on to Newsstand. Sorry about that, Sam. But Sam Peckham is the partner manager for Google Play Newsstand, and he's going to talk a little bit about Newsstand.
Great, thanks, Stacy. And thanks, everyone, for bearing with us for the video technical difficulties. It is a pretty cool video, so if you have 90 seconds, go check it out afterwards. So what I'll do is just give an overview of the Newsstand platform, how it works for users, and how it works for publishers. So starting off just with the ecosystem that we exist in, where we were launched on Android, which I'm sure you guys know is the world's largest mobile platform. So over 1 billion devices run Android. 1.5 million devices are activated each day running Android. So huge reach by getting plugged into that ecosystem, 190 countries. And the Newsstand app actually is available on iOS as well. So we are also available on the 2 major mobile platforms. So within the Android world, Google Play is Google's store for selling digital content. So we have an app store, a bookstore, music, movies, a ton of different types of digital goods all available, and Newsstand is one of the verticals within the Play Store. And so the focus of Newsstand is on longer form content, so news type of content and also magazines. So a ton of different goods available in the Play Store. Newsstand offers you a great way to gain access to this distribution channel by pushing your content through the store.
Sam, did we want to ask them to download the app?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. So if you have an Android phone or an iPhone, the Newsstand is something that you can hop on and download right now. So if you want to pull up the Play Store or the App Store on your iPhone, just go ahead and search for Google Play Newsstand. And you should see that as hopefully one of the top results. Go ahead and download it and check it out. It'll ask you to sign in with your Google account, which will help with some of the personalization that we'll talk about in a few minutes. Okay, so this slide is giving you just a background into the history of where Newsstand came from. So what we're trying to do, again, is offer you your favorite news and magazine sources together in one app. So a really easy place to find all the content you love. For our publishers, it's a great way to distribute that content and also to monetize it. So there are some monetization options that in one of the breakouts afterwards I'm going to discuss a little bit more. And the experience is something that we've really spent a lot of time on, making it a great way for users to experience that content. So optimized for mobile devices, easily scale things across a variety of form factors. So whether it's on a tablet, a phablet, a small phone, we do all the hard work to kind of scale things up or down, make it a really seamless reading experience. So then at the bottom of this slide, we see a little bit of the evolution of where we came from. So you might have heard of Google Currents, which was an app that we launched back in 2011. So that was sort of the predecessor of Newsstand. Currents was really sort of an RSS feeder type of thing. We had a lot of partner publishers who we launched with. So it was sort of a RSS on steroids version. Then in Q2 2012, we launched Google Play Magazines. So that was right when we started offering content through the Play Store. We launched a magazines vertical. So they started off as two separate experiences. And then last year, in 2013, we merged them together and so rebranded the magazines as Newsstand. So now we have one great experience where you can get your Newsstand content. Think of it like you're walking into a store in the airport and looking through newspapers and magazines. We're providing the digital version of that. And as you see, the most recent thing was that we launched on iOS in September, so now we're available there. We've been working a lot to launch in different countries, so we've launched in a bunch of the countries in Europe. Today, I believe we're launching in Brazil and Indonesia, so we're really trying to scale things out globally. But let's hop ahead to the next slide, Stacy. Thank you. So this is really going into the user experience for how people engage with your content on Newsstand. So the content is centered around Read Now, which you see in the screenshot as sort of the top left option there. Read Now is a stream of articles that are personalized to you as a user. So the system allows you to input some of your preferences and it also learns as you go what types of stories you like to read and tries to tailor your content towards what you're interested in. What you can also do in Newsstand is subscribe to different sources that you really love. Those will go into my library, and when you're subscribed to something, that will show up more in your Read Now stream. So if you want to follow your own paper, you can do that. If you have another paper that you really like their content, you can do that. If there's a blog, you can do that. We have a lot of digital-only sources. And also your magazines would go into there as well. So if you like the New Yorker or something like that, you'll see that in my library as well. You can bring those issues on the go. And the last great thing that we've really focused on in Newsstand is making it easy to consume multimedia content. So rather than just sort of a flat experience with words and images in print media, we can actually make that multimedia. So integrated with YouTube channels, so videos can be displayed, podcasts appear if those are part of the RSS feed that we're getting. So a lot of different ways to interact with different types of media, all within Newsstand. Let me pause there. Does anyone have any questions so far for what I've been describing? Oh, I guess we have a slide asking for your questions.
Always have to have a visual to match. Did everyone have a chance to download the app? Have you guys?
How to ask personalized.
Oh, Sam, the question was how to personalize it and add like topics or different sections, publications. It's hard to do a live demo on the phone, but
yeah, we didn't really set up to do a demo, but what you can do is go into Explore, and Explore will let you browse through the different sources that we have in our library, and so you can add those. You can also search. So there are a few different places in the app where you'll see the search looking glass. So go ahead and do a search, and you'll see that the results give you different sources, different topics, and so the different types of content that we have for that. So you could enter in the name of a paper like San Jose Mercury News, or you could enter in a story topic like the Grammys. And if you really love the Grammys, you can follow that as a topic and actually subscribe to the topic. And then you can see sort of evergreen content that's coming out on that story as you go. So, kind of similar to how Stacy was saying for how you use news, if you're following a specific beat, you can set up some topics about that beat and see stories that are being published about those in Newsstand. So those are some of the ways you can customize. Does that make sense?
I'm trying to show my phone. This is probably
A little small, yeah.
and you can see my cracked screen. Lovely. But you can. So this is like the. So this is like the read now screen, and then you can add different topics. You know, if I'm the business reporter, I want to add Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, and then I have a great, beautiful stream of articles that I can see that are related to business. Or if I'm, you know, the tech reporter, I want to add The Verge, Fast Company, and there's all the tech articles in one stream. So it's really, I love this app. I use it all the time. And it gets better the more you use it to customize articles that it thinks that will be of relevance and of interest to you. Cool. Any other questions? Everyone's busy at work on their phone now, trying to put their newsstand up. Okay, thanks so much, Sam.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. We're on time. Actually, one more slide. This isn't related to the Google News or Newsstand product, but we have this phenomenal team at Google called the News Lab, and they do a lot of media outreach, and they've consolidated all of their tools for journalists on one page, google.com/media tools. It is a treasure trove of material. So this is their page for journalists, editors, data journalists, developers. There's so many tools here listed, from Google Earth to Google Maps to how to use Google News, Google Images. If you're on the analytics team, you could check your traffic on Google Analytics. So if you have a chance after today's presentations, go to google.com/media tools. You can get lost in there for hours because there's so many great resources. Okay. So now, hopefully everyone is good to go on to session 2, since we're right on time. I'm thrilled about that. This session is the workshop portion. I said the audience is a little bit more for the webmasters, like SEO distribution team, but I think for journalists it's still highly interesting if you guys want to stay and stick around, but it is a little bit more technical. It is a little more technical and geared for these folks. So I understand if people need to leave. I'm pausing to let some of the reporters leave the room. Everyone over VC can do the same thing.
See ya. You know, you're going to have a question about this, and we're not going to answer it.
And all the reporters are on deadline.
It went out to everyone, just not to you.
Okay. I'm just reeling in there.
Yeah, he's
okay.
taking care of me.
Yeah, I'm a video producer, so.
I understand.
I'd like to be here for the next.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
My chair is broken.
Okay, great chairs.
Okay. So glad to see all the webmasters, digital editor team. I'll go close there.
Thanks, Steve.
Where's my chair? Hang on.
Great chairs. Let's get on with the
Might
show.
be easier.
Okay. All right, so this second session is more of the workshopping session, and I'm going to give an overview of the Google News tools for publishers, a few new tools that we launched to really optimize and distribute your content, how you can do that through tools called the Publisher Center that really gives a lot more control back to the publishers, and then different features like editor's picks, which I'll explain later. And then for Newsstand, similarly, we did a great demo of all the content you can see from the Financial Times, from The Verge, but how you guys as publishers can actually get your content onto Newsstand. Okay, so the first is the Google News tools for publishers. There's a ton of help channels out there because I know there's so much information that I've thrown at you guys, and so all of this is available online. Those are the tools that we have here. I'll fast forward. The Help Center is the biggest one. If you guys have any questions about Google News, I guarantee that 99% of those questions can be answered within the Help Center. I don't have the URL there, but if you Google News Help Center, it's the first result. That's the easiest way. You don't even need to remember the URL. The second help resource that we have is the forum. So a lot of times we'll get questions from publishers like, this article wasn't crawled in Google News, or why was my image mismatched with the San Francisco Chronicle's article? The forum is a really great, but I see a lot of nods. Yes, it does happen quite often. So the forum is a great place to post that question because many other publishers have had that question before. So rather than, responding to the same question over and over again, we want to use this as a live, breathing resource for you guys to find that question, and you'll see the answer right there, just like any other forum on the internet, except this one is Google News specific. So those are the help channels. We want to dive into a tool that I know our product managers, our engineers, our entire team is really thrilled to have been able to put out there. It's called the Google News Publisher Center. The idea was that publishers always had to write into us whenever they wanted to update their name or add new news sections. So, for the November elections last year, no, this year, still 2014. For the November elections this year, people were adding new sections. And unless publishers wrote into our team and notified us, we didn't even know this new section existed. So we potentially were missing a lot of good news content. This Publisher Center allows you, the publisher, to log in and go ahead and add that yourself, which just reduces the time and reduces any potential dropping of news articles. So as you can see on this slide, there's a few things you could do with it. You can update your site's name. We've seen a lot of publications go through rebranding. They want to use, I think they wouldn't mind using them as an example, like SeattlePI.com. They changed their name to that because they wanted more of a digital branding. And so through the Publisher Center, they were able to do that. You can also apply labels to your different sections. So this is very important to help Google News classify your news. As you saw from the different sections on our homepage, we've got technology, business. If you go ahead and add those labels to your sections, it really increases the accuracy with which we classify your news. And this is the Google News Publisher Center is the foundation for how we want to start getting more signals and information from publishers. So we're going to be launching more features in the future. And I'll actually talk about one of those features that we just launched this month, I believe. But first off, this is the link to the Google News Publisher Center. So this link is really relevant for all the webmasters, the SEO folks, whoever your digital representative, your digital person is. So we'll go ahead and click on that, and this is what it looks like. Boom! Welcome to the Google News Publisher Center. And so when you see here, you'll find a list of sites that you own. I actually own stacyjan.com, and you'll see different statuses that your site has within the Google News Publisher Center. So the biggest thing that you have to do is verify that you own this site. So I'm not going to find sfgate.com here under my sites because I don't own it. If I wanted to try to prove ownership, I would click Verify Site in Webmaster Tools. Oh, they're going to make me log in. Let's see. I thought I opened up a tab. Okay, I apologize. Here. So I have all these sites open. So you would do that through Webmaster Tools. Really? You're making me log in? Okay. One sec. Okay. So this is your Webmaster Central. This is another Google property, and we do all of our verification and ownership through them since they have a very robust infrastructure.
Is this where we want to be?
Oh, that's weird. Okay. Sorry, I was going through a bunch of different links on my computer, and it didn't go to the right browser. Let me just drag over this tab then. Okay. Great. Sorry about that, guys. So here's where you can see the Webmaster Central. Just to recap, this is the other team where we use to verify ownership of your site because they have a very robust infrastructure. So if you wanted to prove that you actually own mercurynews.com, you would have to add the site, type in the URL, continue, and it'll show you the recommended method for how you do that. There's an HTML verification file. You have to upload it to the site. You do all these steps, and I haven't done that yet, but I would click the verify button, and then going back to your Publisher Center, well, of course, I wasn't able to verify my site. But you go back to your Publisher Center, it would get this status of verified. The second step is to request inclusion in Google News if you're not in Google News yet. I imagine that for all the Bay Area News Group publications, you guys are in Google News. And so what it would look like once your site is, 1, verified, and 2, in Google News, then you actually can see, oh, where did it go? Let me just open it up. Let's see.
Stacy, how do you verify, we have a few hundred employees with all the same Bay Area News Group, which is associated with the papers and Google.
Mm-hmm.
How do we, can anyone get verified, I guess is the bottom line, if they have a Bay Area News Group?
That's a good question. So
we wouldn't want that.
Right. So usually the reason I wanted to target this session is you don't want every single reporter in your newsroom to be an owner of the site. You want to designate your webmaster and a few other, there's different statuses. There's the owner status, probably for your webmaster, and then there's, what is the, like primary user. There's different statuses that'll give certain levels of control to different people in your newsroom. I would really recommend only granting that ownership to a few people. Otherwise, people can start going in.
Hey, Ray, this is Randy. So this is handled centrally at DFM in Denver, and there's people who have access to this dashboard, including the producers here. So all of this stuff that Stacy's talking about now is handled by the producer group and some SEO folks in Denver, not by reporters or editors. So you guys don't really need to worry about this.
Okay. My concern, Randy, was that if somebody with a Bang address could get in,
no, they can't. It's all permission. People who need to get in there have got the access.
Great. And I never advise on how to grant certain rights to different publications, but it might be useful to have one person from every publication to be able to go in, because I'll show you some functionalities that you can do on the Publisher Center. So this is what it would look like. These are sort of the dummy blogs that we've set up on Google News. But you can see that once you've got both statuses, you've got verified and included, you can see the details of your publication. And this is where you would go in and edit the name to whatever update you would like your publication to be. Then there's different labels. You could tell us if it's a press release site. If you're the Onion, it would really help us to tell us that you're satire. Or we have many other labels that you can apply to your publication. And this is what I was talking about for the news sections. If you're creating a new page to upload your November 2014 election articles, this is where you want to tell us, we're adding a section, Google News, make sure to crawl these articles. Then you would type in the URL, tell us that it's politics news section, then hit save.
Hey, Stacy, can you help us with some definitions on those labels?
Sure. Did you have a specific label you had in mind?
So one of the questions would be, what does headlines represent to Google?
That's a good question. It's probably your front page stories. I always hesitate to give exact editorial advice, but I ask publishers to look to their own URLs. A lot of times it'll be abc.com/politics. I would recommend clicking the politics label. Or if it's just the front page, that would likely be your headlines label.
And there's a limit of 2. And is the best practice to do the 2 that apply, or to just do the 1 that really applies? And the example that I would use here would be our sports blogs, where it might be a columnist. So op-ed would apply, and so would sports and games.
Gotcha. Yes.
Right? So
Sports Club would definitely, you want those two labels on there.
okay. All right.
And there is, it really depends. It's on a case-by-case basis for which two or one or no labels you should apply. Use your best judgment. It's one of those editorial calls that I don't think there is an exact right answer.
Again, there's a number of signals. People can hear me. For all of these things, think of the challenge that Google has is we're trying to crowdsource from a whole bunch of signals the best representation of that content. So, for example, if you were to have two completely conflicting signals from here, that would probably not be very helpful and make our job harder. But this is one of many signals that is used. So I would think about it as just like another general SEO kind of advice is really flowery, beautifully written, artistic titles are make it harder for search engines to figure out what you're trying to say, and it's better to be more functional, if you will. Have the art in the body of the document versus the art in the title of the headline of the article. And in my own experience, I'm actually a product manager for Google News. I also have run a blog education blog for the last 5 years, wrote for Dublin Patch, and so there are people with journalistic interest that find their way to Google News. And I found, as I learned over time, when my headlines got more functional, they ranked higher because it was easier for the algorithms to figure out what the heck I was trying to do. So that's a general piece of advice. Google News, in a broadest sense, is crowdsourcing from the signals from many publishers to try to figure out the best way to organize a lot of information.
Right. Thanks, James. But we do crawl articles with all sorts of titles, so that's why we wanted to create this tool to give more control to publishers to signal to us, yeah, I had this really flowery title, but because it was in a section labeled business, it's still a straightforward business story at its core. So we're constantly using as many of these signals as possible to best classify and surface your content. Okay, does anyone have any questions about all of this? We went through a lot of information about the Publisher Center and how you can actually get through to your account. Okay, great. So I'm going to explain what this feature is up here, this Add Editor's Pick button. Let me go back to the slides first. Okay, so Editor's Picks is a tool that we launched a few years ago where you actually saw it first on the homepage. So this is a snapshot of the New Yorker's Editor's Picks widget on the homepage. Oh, where did it go? Here we go. So as you can see live right now on the Google News homepage, you can see ABC News Editor's Picks, U.S. News and World Report, and the Editor's Picks are really just 5 articles that, as the name denotes, it's 5 articles that the editors picked. We don't ever dictate what these articles should be. It really is in complete control of your editorial staff. It's actually my favorite place on the homepage because it really is a creative space for you guys to determine what were the 5 articles that we hear from newsrooms all the time. Sometimes there'll be the 5 evergreen pieces. There'll be 5 stories that you thought would have gotten more traffic, but you want to get more mileage out of, so you put that in your editor's picks feed. And how this is signaled to Google News is through an RSS feed. You create a simple RSS feed, you submit it to us, and you'll eventually see it as a section. Actually, sorry, let me go back to that. You actually don't need to submit it to us anymore. That was actually one of the features that we just launched within this past month. So where did it go? I have too many tabs open. I apologize. Okay, I'm trying to get back to the... No. Where was it? Here we go. It was right next to the slides. So this is the Add Editor's Picks button. You no longer need to contact our team once you've created the RSS feed. You just copy the URL here. So RSS, whatever the feed would be, you click submit. Again, we don't review the editorial content. All we review are the technical details. If it passes all of our technical criteria, it suddenly gets added. You'll see it as a section on this page. And if enough users want to add it as their preferred source, you'll start to see San Jose Mercury News here on the editor's picks. So, for example, I have Wall Street Journal show up as my first one. This is also done algorithmically in determining which sources get to appear on the Google News homepage. So that is the editor's picks, both on the Google News homepage and how you can submit it here through the Publisher Center. Does anyone have any questions on editor's picks? Did that make sense to you guys, how to create and then submit? Okay. Probably a little more questions after if we need
I
to.
just need to follow up with our other
With a specific.
managing editor.
Okay, sure.
That we're not stepping over each other. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and then also, well, we have our section-based editor's picks. So we really want to support different niche publications editor's picks as well. So from the homepage, if you expand a section, so say I expand the business section, you can actually see business-focused editor's picks. So you'll see Business News Daily, other CNN, Money, Fox Business, different business-minded publications. And what they can do is you can actually submit up to 3 different editor's picks feeds. Right now we support section-based editor's picks feeds in business and technology, and always looking to expand to more. This is where you guys, our partners, come in. We need more feeds to eventually give a wide enough range so we can have that expanded to entertainment. We can have sports, sports-based editor's picks feeds. And you currently need to submit section-based editor's picks to our team. And you would do that by going to this is the Help Center page, and you would submit it through the Help Center. Because right now, the Publisher Center only supports adding your regular headlines-based editor's picks feed, if you will. So to recap, we've got your regular editor's picks feed that you can submit through the Publisher Center, and then you can also create 2 additional section-based editor's picks feeds in business and technology. And those 2 you still have to submit through our team. Okay. Yes, and to emphasize, rollout is ongoing. We would love to expand editor's picks feeds to every section. It's just a matter of gaining enough editor's picks feeds in our database.
Hey, Stacy?
Yes.
Is there a time frame when the other sections are going to be rolling out?
Good question. I don't know of any timeline. It's just always something that we're keeping in the back of our minds. We want to hopefully launch in the near future.
Hey, Stacy, one of the things we've noticed is we've had editors' picks in the publisher dashboard previously, but the feeds no longer work, and so we need to change the feed URL, but it seems like we have to submit tickets to Google to do that. Is there any way around that, or do we just keep on submitting these?
That's a good question, because if I understand your question correctly, say your editor's picks feed was here listed as a section, would you need to write into us to add another one, or could you add it a second one?
Rather than being able to edit it says contact support.
Gotcha. Okay, if there's that button there, then you would likely have to contact us. That's a really good question. I'm not 100% sure on the answer, but I will get back to you on that.
Yeah, just so you know, there's a fair amount of cleanup for the Bay Area sites. The labels were really a complete mess when this first rolled out, and then there's a bunch of feed-related, various little issues that we're working through trying to clean up.
Mm-hmm. I'm really glad to hear you say that. This is really what we wanted publishers to be able to do. We wanted to be fully transparent with what information we had about your publication in our database, and then to give you control to go in and clean that up. Remove old labels, remove dead sections. We saw that a lot of publishers went in and said, oh, we don't even publish articles on that section anymore. Let's just delete it. You want to give Google News as clean and updated information as possible so we can just quickly and easily find those articles to crawl and index. Great. Any other questions on editor's picks? You heard?
Just add entertainment.
Oh.
You're taking
James, an entertainment
you're taking
editor's picks
recommendations.
feed is recommended to launch next. Okay, great. All right, so you guys are all familiar with kind of this. This is a sitemap. This is another way Google News will crawl your articles in addition to sections. So this is just another way you can submit to us. It's not preferred or recommended. We just want to give as much control to publishers as possible if you do decide to create a sitemap of your articles. There are definitely pros to doing this. It really helps us better discover and classify your new content because you're explicitly telling us which articles you believe should be in Google News. You're listing individual article URLs. It really helps us differentiate between your news and non-news content because sometimes in a news section, certain articles might be sponsored content. I know that's a very, very big trend in the industry these days, and we do not allow non-news content in Google News. So if you guys, the publishers, decide to create a sitemap, you can explicitly tell us what exactly are the news articles we should be crawling. Also, by creating a sitemap, you can see Google News specific error reports. This is through your Webmaster Tools account. Similarly, that's where you prove the ownership of your site. So there's a lot of relationship between Google News and the Webmaster Tools team. So you can actually log in there and see granular error reports on specific news articles. And that's often, we get a lot of questions like, why wasn't this specific article crawled? You would actually be able to see the specific error for why that article wasn't included in Google News. And then lastly, we created this rule when Google News first launched, the unique 3-digit rule, in that you had to have a unique 3 digits in your article URL because that's what news articles were back then. Most news articles had a string of digits to signal that it wasn't a login page or an About Us page. It was actually an article URL. So when the product was built, that was a rule that was instituted. We realized that things have changed over the years, and creating a sitemap is a way to bypass the unique 3-digit rule. So your article URLs do not need to have 3 digits if you create a sitemap. Any questions on sitemaps? Okay. I think that brings us to the end of the Google News workshop. Do you guys have any questions about editors picks, sitemaps, how to contact us, anything? Okay, great. So we are so on time. I'm very pleasantly surprised. All right, so the second portion of session number 2 are the Google Play Newsstand tools for publishers. So I'll go over the help channels that we have, and then it's a great fun tutorial about how to actually create an edition for Newsstand. So the platform is actually called Producer, and I want all of you guys to be able to, at the end of this workshop, say, we've got our edition going, and we feel confident that we could publish it and make it live, I don't know, by end of week. Okay, so for the Google Play Newsstand help channels, we've similarly got a help center. So if you guys have any questions, another question that comes to mind that you weren't able to answer here, search for it in the help center. Almost guaranteed that the answer is there somewhere. Again, the URL is, search for it on Google. Just search Google Newsstand Help Center. Okay, we've also got the Google Play Newsstand Producer Help Forum with a lot. It is a newer product, so we find that it's really helpful for publishers to consult the forum before they do publish their edition. We've got a lot of great experts who will help you fix warnings that you may have on your edition, or just some frequently asked questions about the product itself, since it is a relatively new product compared to Google News. Okay, so like I said, Producer is actually the platform for Newsstand. Newsstand was the app that lives on the phone. Producer is what you do actually at your desktop, likely, to start creating your edition to have all your great content featured in the app. And so to give us the great content, what we ask for usually is an RSS feed. That's the simplest way to signal to us what your articles are. I know Sam's still on the call, so he's the expert. If he has any comments, he's probably going to jump in and add stuff. And the great thing about Producer is that you can really customize your edition. You can customize the fonts, the images. You can even use your own templates. Producer is a platform. We have very, very minimal requirements in how you technically set it up, and then artistically, for your brand, you can create your edition however you want. And what we love about Producer is you can track your metrics directly within it. So you can link your Google Analytics account to it and see how much traffic Newsstand is driving to your overall organization. So before I dive right into google.com/producer, does anyone have any questions, kind of overview questions about what Producer is and what Newsstand is? Okay.
Hey, Stacy, can I just make one quick comment?
Of course.
Sam. So one clarification I just wanted to make is Stacy was talking about how we are pretty flexible with customizations, and that's definitely true where we really encourage publishers to take ownership of how their edition looks. So the example I like to give is the Financial Times, which is a British paper. They have their sort of trademark pinkish, yellowish background, so they do that with their edition. Mm-hmm. So any of those types of things you can customize. We do have some policies that we are strict about, though, and so I want to make sure that that's clear as well. One of those policies that people sometimes get confused about when they're getting started is we require complete articles. So when you're setting up your RSS feed, we need the whole article to be sent in it, not just the first paragraph and then a link back to the website. The reason for that is that we found the best user experience is one where they're not clicking back and forth, but that they can get the full article that they want to read in the Newsstand platform. And that helps us do things like offer the articles offline so users can sync their device and read things if they're commuting on the subway or something. And we allow you as the publisher to implement analytics so you can still keep track of user behavior even though it's in the Newsstand platform as opposed to going back to your website. So just wanted to make sure that was clear that full articles are one of the requirements. In the Help Center, we have a list of some of the other content policies, we call them. So that would be a great thing just to look through and make sure you're comfortable with those.
Great. Wonderful point, Sam. Let me, since we have the Help Center up here, we have a great checklist, right?
Oh, Stacey, I think that's the News Publisher Help Center.
Oh, thank you. Let's see. Here we go. So for news, yes. So one of the tips that we always recommend to publishers before they publish their edition is going through this really, really nifty checklist. So just have it open in your browser too when you're creating your edition, and it has all the steps that you need before you publish. You can even click the I'm done, it'll advance. That's kind of fun. Okay, so we're going to actually open up Producer live. There we go. And you can see this is kind of a dummy one that I've created for my personal account. It starts off completely blank. I think I've gone in and created the name. I call it Stacy's News Site. But I hope everyone on the call in here is starting to set up their own edition because it's so super simple, and then you can say that within this hour you actually were somewhat productive. So I won't publish this. I don't own this site, but if you were going to do San Jose Mercury News, you would update that, saving edition name. Okay, spinning wheel. We need to wait. Okay. Well, that was pretend it's saved. You could add basic information, the category of what it is. So I would just say news and politics is likely the category most of you will click. You could add a cover image. No. Oh, goodness. It's probably because this is not mine. I don't own the San Jose Mercury News, so it might be causing a few separate issues. You can always add contact information. And this is what Sam was talking about. You could set up your Google Analytics account directly through Producer. So you would just enter your app profile property ID, which you actually find through Google Analytics, I believe. And so this is all the basic overview information of your edition, and this is where you actually add the news sections. So like I said, it's so super simple. I know you guys already have RSS feeds. Let's see, Mercury News. Oh, that's why I'm not connected to the web. That's why nothing was saving. I apologize, my Wi-Fi just crapped out just trying to connect to the web.
Yeah.
It did.
The Wi-Fi crapped out. Are we still? Okay, I see everyone moving. That's good. So we're still in the Hangout. But let me just try to reconnect to the Wi-Fi. That's why nothing was saving.
You could hardline.
Looks like it came back.
Mine's still not running. Okay. Okay. All right, there we go. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay. So now it should be able to save if I updated my name to San Jose Mercury News or whatever I wanted to do. We were just offline for a bit. That's why nothing was saving. To go back on how to start adding your content to your edition, this is usually just done through an RSS feed. And so I'm going to go to the Mercury News. Oh, this is lagging. I see something different on my screen. Sorry, everyone. 1 sec. We might have to change up my Wi-Fi to.
We're gonna hardline.
Okay, we're gonna hardline me. Because yeah, I don't.
Bear with me for a second.
Okay, I can still click through the edition then, or I can walk through that. Oh, okay. I don't know.
If
that's a regular.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna need a
Adapter
you're
to.
gonna need a dongle, which we. Oh, I might have one.
I don't have the Ether dongle.
Small probability.
Is there another network in case? Oh yeah, we just logged me out.
There's editorial.
Edit.
Right,
I see edit
on my
Wi-Fi.
screen.
Do we have a password for that?
Yeah, it's right there.
It's just the same one.
Yeah, we're real.
Okay.
Oh, how am I looking at
Stacy's doing fine.
my? Okay. My okay.
Yeah, it seems to be.
There we go.
Okay.
So I have to
Doing just
repop
fine.
up my screen.
I get worried when I'm not over there.
Okay. All right. Sorry, we're gonna go rewind just a few steps. So can we click on my screen to make sure that that's what everyone sees?
I'm not a high jumper.
I know. I was worried you were gonna trip over all the cords.
I'm getting
Okay.
I'm playing football. Okay, I'm going to here.
Yeah. So you can just click back to my slides. Okay. Great. Thanks, everyone. So like I said, to input your articles, you could do this through a simple RSS feed. And I was looking at the Mercury News' site, and voila, I see that there are already numerous RSS feeds that we could use. I'm just going to go ahead and click.
I'm not sure if we set those ones up as full text.
Okay.
We'd have to update them.
Okay, good. So in the room we had a point, not all these articles are full text. So to Sam's point, we need all of the articles to be full text articles and not just like the first graph. So this will just be an example RSS feed, but to meet our newsstand guidelines, they do need to be full article. But just for the purposes of doing the demonstration, this would be the RSS. Oh, no, that's the name. So I would just call it news headlines or something, or just news. You could, and then you add the RSS feed. Okay. All right, so that was how simple it was to add a news section to your edition. The hardest part is probably just waiting. Okay, great. We successfully connected your feed, and you can immediately start to see what your articles will look like across different devices. What I love about Newsstand is we do all the, I say we, the product, the engineers have designed this so that all the articles are optimized for whatever device the user's on. So it could be Android, whatever tablet they're on. Again, for iPhone, iPad, it reconfigures the articles to best fit their device. So this is actually the RSS feed of the San Jose Mercury News. You can pull whatever feed just to test it out, and this is how wonderful their articles look. Then you can go in and play around with the display order. There's different options. It could be newest first, oldest first, section template. There's just so many options you guys could play around with. You could, and then where's the add? Yeah, add another section. I'm not as familiar with this, how you do this, Sam, because I thought you just had to add everything by RSS feed.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to add business.
Stacy, I can clarify a little bit. So we do support some other ways to load in content. So this one would be sort of manually uploading articles. It's actually pretty rare that people do that. I wouldn't recommend it. The RSS feed is definitely the easiest way, least manual way to get your content in there. But you can't hook up like a photo stream from Flickr or something like that. So we have some partner publishers, like 500 Pics is one of our big publishers, and they just send us photos. One other clarification I just wanted to make, Stacy was pointing out the simulator over on the right, which gives you an idea of how your articles look. And that actually uses the layout engine of Google Currents, so the old version of the app. So I just want to make sure people aren't confused. It will look a little bit different in the Newsstand app when you look. So I would encourage you to look at both places. The simulator can help you see just from an article perspective what articles are showing up. But if you want to actually see how they're laid out, open up the app on your phone. You'll see actually how it looks. We've been working to get the simulator updated, but it hasn't happened yet.
Great, a good clarification point. Thanks, Sam. Yeah, then the simulator is really just to show that across nearly any device, articles will be optimized for whatever device they're on. So it may not be perfect, but it really is. You just need to create one edition, and we take care of the rest. You don't need to have a separate app for Android or iPhone. You create everything through Newsstand or through Producer, and then through the Newsstand app, your articles are optimized for whatever device the user is on. You can also, as Sam was alluding to, like you could add photos. So some people will link their Flickr accounts, Picasa, or other media RSS feeds. For videos, the easiest way is just to add your YouTube channel. So, if we were to add videos, I actually don't have a YouTube channel, but if I did, that's where I would add this URL, and then you could create that, and then it would just populate in one of your sections here. Well, that's similar. And a question was asked, could we share the Publisher Center access with other people in our newsroom? The answer is sure. Similar to your Producer edition, you can also grant access to as many people, as many designers as you like. That way people can go in and edit if they're in charge of managing articles or they want to update the RSS feed, whatever you like. And to make sure that, you guys saw me typing in San Jose Mercury News, and I just started adding all these different things. But I'm actually not part of your organization. So to be able to actually publish this, you would need to verify that you own mercurynews.com. And this is to make sure that there's not people out there just randomly creating editions that are titled San Jose Mercury News, but they actually aren't employed by the organization. And you similarly do that by going to Webmaster Central. So the great takeaway from this is that when you're verifying ownership of your account for the Publisher Center and for producer, it's all in the same place, Webmaster Central. Okay, and then you can even go international with your edition. You can set target distribution. You can block certain countries if there's, unrest there. There's just so much customization available to you guys. I would just highly suggest playing around with it and configure your edition to your needs. Language, so many different options. And the ads portion, that's actually reserved for what Sam's going to talk about with your ads folks. So not of editorial interest. And then once you guys are finished setting up your publication, you would go ahead and click the publish button. But I've got quite a few warnings because I haven't done a lot of the steps that you need to do. So this is like a good place to double check before you publish. What are the remaining steps that you need to do before we can actually publish your edition? And then Sam, could you go over what happens after they click the publish button?
Sure.
Like what the flow is to our team?
Yeah. So once you hit publish, the edition can be accessed by users. Right when it's published, it will. What you can do is send a link to users, and they can access it directly. And Stacy, if you scroll up just a little bit, you can see under testing, even before you publish, if you expand those little testing sections, you can subscribe, so you can get the edition on your device and see how it looks. Once you publish, other users can subscribe to it. They follow a specific link to get the edition on their device, but you can put that link on your website and have something like now available on Google Play, for example, and users can click that link and subscribe to the edition in Newsstand. And what we're doing on our side is we're regularly reviewing published editions and seeing what editions are really good quality, meeting all of our content guidelines and things like that. And if we find editions that are great, we will promote them in our catalog. And what that does is it makes them searchable and browsable in the app. So that lets a ton more users find your content. When we were looking at the app before, there was the Explore section, so they could find it in there. Or if they're searching for a topic, they might see articles from you by that. So it's a really good incentive to make sure you're familiar with the content guidelines, make sure you're meeting those. And if so, then that's something we'll pick up on and make sure you're available. And we'll shoot you a note when we've done that. If you have questions about any of the policies, those are good things to bring up in the forums, or this group can email us and ask questions. I think we're going to put the Do we have the support email address in there, Stacy?
We do. I think it's on the next slide. Oop, there we go.
Yeah, so if you have questions about our policies, feel free to shoot us an email there, and we can help you make sure that you're complying with everything.
Great. Oops. I am always losing where. There we go. Great. So does anyone have any questions about producer, how to set up an edition, what are some technical requirements versus like fun customization requirements, not even requirements, fun customization features? Any questions? I bet you're all hard at work creating your editions. I just see people like typing furiously. Cool. Well, I think that ends the session 2 portion. Just want to make sure everyone copies down that email address when they start setting up their edition to be able to shoot any emails off there. But that ends the presentation and workshop. So I would just like to thank everyone who's on VC and everyone physically in the room for their time, and happy to answer any questions as well. This is for Newsstand Producer, but I listed Did I list my contact information at the top? Where is my, well, that's my Twitter handle, but I can add my email address as well. Martin, Steve, and Ray have my email address, but it's just, if I can spell my name, stacychan@google.com with any questions. We would love to see you guys logging into the Publisher Center, adding your editor's picks feeds, and hopefully all of you create your editions on Producer so the users can start seeing all of your great content within the Newsstand app. So,
thank you, Stacy.
Thank you so much, everyone. This is really great. Please ask me any questions. We want to see your content across our 2 Google products. Good? All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right.